Releasing As Not on the Soul Society on Halloween was something of poetic beauty. Let's jump into it. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Entering Infinity here. Today I'm back with a brand new video to discuss episode 4 of Bleach's 1,000-Year Blood War anime. And we have so much to talk about in this episode, so I want to jump right into it because I don't want this review to end up being too long. So first I'm going to talk about what's going on with Ichigo, and then we're going to pretty much talk about what's going on in the Soul Society for the remainder of the video. So starting off with Waco Mundo and Ichigo's situation, he's continuing his battle with Stern Ritter J in Waco Mundo, and we see that Ichigo's just continuing to overpower Stern Ritter J while he's using his Bankai, and Stern Ritter J is unable to steal Ichigo's Bankai in the same way we saw at the beginning that Iburn was also unable to steal Ichigo's Bankai, and then Ichigo's just overwhelming him. And then we see that Kisuke gets a call from Akon in the Soul Society, and he wants to talk to Ichigo, and then, I really like that part because I like that they understand the value of Kisuke Urahara and Ichigo, even though that was like a taboo thing to do earlier in the series, so I like to see the character development and kind of the overall development of the Soul Society, that they're willing to lean on these people that were formerly, in exile and formerly these evil taboo Ryokas and stuff like that. So Kisuke finds out, the situation and how bad it is in the Soul Society, and then we see, Ichigo's battle with Stern Ritter J, then all of a sudden a whole giant hole gets blasted through his chest thanks to Kisuke's Kido attack, and seemingly Stern Ritter J is down for the count. So Kisuke opens up a portal to the Soul Society, and he gives Ichigo his cell phone, and then he tells him that Akon is going to fill him in, and he heads his way over to the Soul Society to start helping out them with the invasion. And then while Ichigo's heading over, we see that this arrow comes shooting by him, and it closes the gate that was open to get into the Soul Society, and it turns out that Stern Ritter J is in fact not actually dead, and he starts attacking everybody again. He blows a hole through Chad. Orihime took a hit, she's down. Kisuke's got an arrow in his back, and now Ichigo is sealed in this cage, and apparently the Stern Ritter is saying he won't be able to get out of it. So I felt like that was a little bit of a surprising moment for Kisuke's character, to think that an attack like that would be able to take down the Stern Ritter. He's someone that's such a genius and so calculated that wouldn't normally make a mistake like that, so it's pretty surprising to see that. But I am looking forward to see what comes next and hopefully seeing him fight. For some reason, I read the manga so many years ago and I don't really remember what happens in this part, so I'm kind of going into this for the first time pretty much because I've completely forgotten what's happened. So I'm really hoping we get to see Kisuke have a nice fight with Stern Ritter J. I think that would be really cool. But that's kind of where things leave off in Waco Mundo. And then cutting back to the Soul Society, we just continue to see the invasion happening, and all the low-level Soul Reapers are just getting absolutely bodied. They're getting obliterated. They're getting blasted through the neck. They're getting sliced in half. I just love, again, that they're not pulling any punches in this anime. It's gory. It's to the point. It's exactly how it was in the manga. Even more gory than it was in the manga. So I'm really loving that they're showing, how intense the situation is and how the Stern Ritter aren't messing around. They're there for blood and they're getting it. And then we see the captains pretty much start squaring up. We see everyone lining up to their little 1v1s that are about to go down with our captains versus the Stern Ritters. And man, I'm so hyped for this. This is some of my favorite parts of the manga, seeing all these fights kind of take place and how crazy they were. So I'm so excited to see this, and most of all excited to see my boy Byakuya, my favorite, back in action. And can I just stop and say how much of a boss that he looks like? I absolutely love how good he looks in this. His art and everything, I love that his hair is a little longer. He just looks like an absolute boss, and I'm just absolutely eating it up. Every second that he's on screen, I'm just fanboying so hard. Getting to see Senbon Sakura again, I just died. I was in heaven again. Getting to see it after so many years was just absolutely unreal. And I love the way that they are animating it now, how it has this luminescent glow to it, even more so than it used to have. So absolutely awesome. So Renji and Byakuya are squared up against Asna, and Asna is one of the coolest Stern Ritters that anyone who's read the manga would probably agree. And Asna just totally gives me that Karusu Karasu vibes from Yu Yu Hakusho. For any Yu Yu Hakusho fans out there, they know how cool Karasu is, so he's just such a cool Stern Ritter. And we're coming to find out that, you know, the Stern Ritters are just kind of like bodying our Soul Reapers and our captains because they can't figure out how to deal with them because there's just such a lack of information that we even see Shunsui pointing out. He's like, you know, usually Mayori can figure this out within a day and come up with a counter strategy to figure out you guys, but there's just such a lack of information right now because at this point they're still under the impression that they can only seal their bankais, so that's kind of the information that they're working with. They're not really familiar with any other of their abilities, so Mayori is frantically trying to figure that out while all the captains are starting to fight. And then one of my favorite parts was when Byakuya and Renji were teaming up, and Renji, you know, wrapped Aznot with his Shikai, and then Byakuya comes in with Senbon Zakura, and you just see him getting blasted in the face with all the petals, only to find out that like it did no damage, and you see like the Senbon Zakura blade just like going off of his eyeball, like, and you see the blue kind of like blocking it. Like, that was like so amazing. I absolutely loved that. That was like one of my favorite parts of the whole episode, aside from seeing Byakuya go Bankai again, which I thought again was really stupid for him to do that. You know, he used his Bankai knowing that they would seal it so that they could figure out how to get around that, but it's like, why would you give up your Bankai? Like, you have Renji there who's just like fodder. Like, have Renji use his Bankai and have that get taken or sealed, and then kind of use your Bankai to beat him. Like, you shouldn't be sacrificing the captain's Bankai so Lieutenant can use his Bankai. Like, that makes no sense to me. So that was like kind of stupid. So then Byakuya uses his Bankai. We see that Komamura, Soifone, and Toshiro also use their Bankai, only to learn that these Bankais aren't getting sealed, they're getting stolen. And that was a really amazing moment that was demonstrated for Byakuya when you just see the blades of his Bankai just getting stripped away, and like the look on his face and the voice acting was just so on point to kind of demonstrate how shocking that was. And we just see, like, I love when the last petal just gets sucked into the pendant. Like, that was so beautifully done. And then when Toshiro's Bankai gets stolen, I love when he like yells at Rangiku and he's like, use that move, I forget what it's called, and go and tell everybody. It was the same move that we saw Unohana tell her lieutenant back in the day when Aizen was invading, to communicate to everybody to tell them what was going on. So that was a nice little callback to see that move used again. I really like that. So she goes and tells everyone that, you know, their Bankais aren't being sealed, they're being stolen, and that's when, you know, everyone's kind of shocked. But at that point, 4 of them have already been taken. Like I said, Mayori's pissed off because he's like, if only you fools would have given me more time, I would have figured it out. I was so close to figuring it out. So now everything's just in absolute chaos right now. The captains are just completely on the back foot and don't even know what to do. They're like barely even holding their own, and the Stern Ritters haven't even used their Vollständig yet, so like they're completely bodying them right now. And we see that Shunsui ends up losing an eye. Like, that was crazy. So there's just so much epicness going on in this episode. I absolutely loved it. Had such a good time. The only complaint I have is that, again, the pacing is just going so fast that I'm starting to get a little concerned that the whole thing is going to feel this fast, because this episode alone had so many crazy moments that, you know, in the manga had such shock value and carried such weight that I feel like didn't really have as much weight in the anime because they're just rushing through it so fast, especially when Shunsui loses his eye. Like, I feel like they just brushed over that so quickly, but that's like obviously a huge deal. One of the most powerful captains just lost an eye. Like, that was crazy. So yeah, I had an amazing time. Absolutely love this episode. Otherwise, so excited for next week. I know there's a lot of really big stuff coming, and I really can't wait to see that animated and kind of see everyone else's reaction. I think it's going to break the internet, some of the things that are about to come, so I'm just so here for it. So if you stayed till the end, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed the video, do me a huge favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the episode, and I'll catch you all in the next one.